Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Let's Play. Today we're taking a look at Pulp Alley 2nd edition, the newest incarnation of what is probably a modern classic in indie gaming, Pulp Alley. Now, if you've never heard of this game before, you're probably just dipping your toes into the indie scene because this is one of the original use your own figures, dream up an adventure, kind of set it in any period, any location, miniatures agnostic skirmish games. That a lot of indie designers probably designing games today took cues from to write their rules. It uses a descending dice system for health, opposed dice pools, lots of conventions that you see in modern indie games today, and is of course supported by a beautiful collection of figures from Canada, from Pulp Figures. And is designed to kind of replicate those classic high adventure, sort of like serials and magazines and stories from the early 20th century. So that kind of stuff where you'd have, Arctic adventurers, or you'd have like, explorers, or, archaeologists. And in the vein of, like all the classic films like Indiana Jones, what was the other one? The one with Michael Douglas. Oh geez, Romancing the Stone, The Rundown with The Rock even. These kind of movies take cues from those old books. And you've got a sort of new selection of starter sets as well with pre-built leagues. That's what the sort of like warband and gang is called, that are in this 2-player starter set as well. So the timing is like really good for this because there's beautiful figures to support it. He's collected the new rules, or not new rules, but the revised rules together into a single tome, and then support it with a sort of like all-in-one, ready-to-go 2-player starter set that comes with all the assets, dice, you have your fortune cards, you have reward cards for playing a basic game, and then all of the league construction and perk rules for the core game are in here as well. This is, to my understanding, fully compatible with the current expansions like Perilous Island and stuff like that add in more of like the mystical stuff, sort of like the mind powers and all the sort of crazy things you might get into in a serial adventure, and kind of just lets you build different types of leagues, you know what I mean? So if you want to have like an evil cult trying to blow up the world as your league, you could also have, the plucky adventurer or the, wayward professor out exploring and trying to like collect relics and artifacts. The moon base explorer, like you can literally do anything with these rules. And we're gonna give it a go right now with the 2-player starter set using the Dundee Scholars, which is one of the 2 starter sets, and Minerva's Mercenaries, which is the other one. I've kind of like flipped all the tropes on their heads just because I like doing that to make it fun. So I'm making Minerva's Mercenaries more of like an evil sort of like zombie cult led by Minerva. She has one good eye. She's the queen in yellow basically. And then flipping all of the tropes from the Dundee Scholars as well to make them sort of like modern day adventurers. We're gonna set this in the bayou instead of the desert where you would kind of normally have the archaeological adventures, where something terrible, some terrible stones have been unearthed. I mean, of course, we're gonna call Cthulhu or something like that. And I'm gonna run you through the rules. So I'm not gonna go too much into like the core creation of like warbands and stuff like that. This is a 2nd edition, but I will touch on how the pre-generated warbands basically follow the guidelines for making a league. And then we'll jump into the core mechanics of the game and get this underway. So here I am set up for some Pulp Alley 2nd edition. All this stuff comes in this little box right here, the 2nd edition starter set. You're gonna get a quick start rulebook, a couple of measuring gauges that also count as cheat sheets, basic 5-card reward deck for playing your games, which also you draw and use over the course of the game. Your fortune deck, which will also dictate challenges for things like perils and perilous terrain, going after plot points. We got some summary stuff, so like a bunch of markers. So you do get, of course, indie games love to use things like bingo markers, and this is what we got here, some bingo chips. Red, yellow, orange, blue, and black for injuries, plot points, multiple fights, hidden characters, and special. You get some standees, so if you don't want to actually build and paint your miniatures, you can try the game out right away with some like basic fold-up standees, which is super cool. You get the full, expanded, revised 2nd edition rulebook from 2019. Which has everything from league creation, it's 127 pages, league creation, creating characters, all the abilities and perks that go into it, making epic characters, the gameplay, so like starting a turn, going through fortune cards and the action sequence, moving, perils, challenges, conditions, health, actions, plot points, rewards and spoilers, dodging, fighting, brawling, shootouts, bursts if you're going to use fancy weapons, stealth and hiding at the end of the turn, and then how to set up a scenario, the scenario wrap-up, things like experience and rep, playing solo, using horror stuff, bystanders in the game, this is all the like additional stuff, non-player characters, resources and assets, genres and settings, secret societies, optional rules, weapons, mounts and vehicles, and then the actual league roster. So this is a meaty book for being a little A5 scale. Perfect bound book with lots of cool images, and even a nice little forward by Bob Murch from Pulp Figures, who makes all these lovely models that we're playing with here. Speaking of which, we get cards and 2 little leagues in here. So we get the Dundee Scholars with Lady Elaine, Lucky Dundee, and Milligan the Monkey. I guess he's a chimp, actually. And then some gear cards for them and their society stuff. And this is a pre-constructed 10 reputation league. Ready to rock and roll. It uses some special perks, in particular Company of Heroes, and then the perk Keen Senses to actually create the league so that you can have nothing but sidekicks. It's basically as if like Batman was hanging out with nothing but Robins. And you get some lovely figures here. So here's our Wayward Professor, Lucky Dundee. We have Lady Elaine, who I kind of like painted in a, how would I put it, a more of a Golden Girls style, like than young. And then Milligan, there we go, my albino chimp that I painted up. Now these are all on 20 mil bases, which is nice for moving in between terrain, but some people might not be used to. They actually come with those. And then Minerva's Mercenaries, we get Toklo, Ujarak, and Kadim, the 3 sort of like mercs that I'm going to paint up as like cultists in mine. You can see they've got bleeding eyes and things aren't going very well for them. And then Ramjeet, who has also got bleeding eyes. He's clearly gone through the gate from Event Horizon. And then Minerva, who had to pluck out her eye in order to control these like half zombified mercenaries. And she has the Gypsy Eye, which is her like her special thing. And then an associate, which is Mordecai the Art Dealer, who gives her a backup point. Now, associates can be hired when you do your league creation as well. Then we get some summary stuff, card summaries and turn summaries. You get tons of dice, so 5d6s, or sorry, 66s, 68s, 60 10s, and then 60 12s. And what this game uses is a dice pool system where your dice degrade as you get injured. And you design everybody with specific dice pools. So for instance, when Lucky fights in melee, he rolls 4d10. But as soon as you get injured, you drop down and the maximum dice you can roll becomes d8. So his d10 pool becomes a d8 pool. And it's a very interesting like drop down stat line for a degrading stat line, where how big your health die is. So if your health die d10, you can effectively take 1, 2, 3 hits before you go down. And then another hit would actually put you out and like remove you from the game. And you only ever take, no matter how many failures you have, you only ever like degrade 1 profile level during each engagement. So like you literally have to lose 3 shootouts or fights in the same turn with Lucky for him to actually get knocked out. So let's talk about that. So when you make a league, you have 10 league slots in your roster. You always have a leader. They don't cost any slots. They're basically a level 4, you can see up here, character. Everyone has 6 stats: Brawl, Shoot, Dodge, which are like your physical stats, and then Might, Finesse, and Cunning, which are usually your challenge stats for overcoming different perils and stuff like that. You also have abilities. A leader can pick 3 up to a maximum of level 4, so you have any of the 1 through 4 abilities. So he's got Lucky Devil. Opponents cannot play Fortune Cards effects when Lucky activates, so you can't counter him with Fortune Cards. Wild Card, once per turn after you roll for a challenge, you can discard it, or this to add 1 success, basically. You can discard a card from your Fortune hand. And then Fierce is included in his profile. Makes his brawl higher there. And then you also get a blank side if you want to use the model as your own creation and give them your own rules, which I thought was a nice additive, basically. They give you like a design your own for this miniature card side as well. Then we have 2 sidekicks, which is Milligan, the monkey, or the chimpanzee, once again. He's got the animal stat, which means he increases his physical stats, but he becomes shoot no. He can't use guns. So you get no dice basically at that level. When you have no dice, it means you can't actually perform that skill. He's an acrobat. Once per turn, you can discard a card to gain +1 dodge or finesse. And that means you roll additional dice to that skill whenever you get +1. It's not to the dice roll, it's just how many dice you roll. And then animal is already included, but basically means you can't shoot. Lady Elaine, she has no brawl, but she's shoot 2d6 and dodge 4d8. Her might is 2d6, finesse is 3d8, and her cunning is 4d8. And then she's a sleuth. You can draw 1 fortune card each time she activates. Each time she passes a challenge. And then brainy, which is included in her cunning there. So they're not as tough as Lucky, obviously, but they're each good at something. Milligan's good at brawling and dodging. Lady Elaine is good at like interacting with objects and doing like cunning challenges and stuff. And then each of them has some gear. Now, normally you spend resource cards to get gear. So when this league was built, he's free from the 10 slots. They're each 3, which is 6. But they had to spend 2 more for 8 to take Company of Heroes as a perk. And then they've also got Keen Senses. And what Keen Senses does, I think it's on here, Well, no, that's their associate that they've also hired, which takes them to 10. Keen Senses is 1. It's once per turn you can give one of your characters +1 bonus to dodge a peril, so if they go into the perils. Think of it like Lucky basically being able to get the bag of sand to replace the golden idol with. And the last thing they did is they took an associate, and their associate is Harper the Librarian. So this is like an off-table character where you can research rumors once per turn. You can discard to give one of your characters a +1 bonus for a challenge, or got your back, gain a backup point. That lets you bring in additional heroes that are kind of like low level, like goons and stuff. Now, to use your associate, though, you have to make a 1d6 challenge test. So you have to get a single success on a d6. And if you do, you can pick one of these 2 bonuses. So, for instance, research and rumors would give them the ability to discard once per turn during the game to get +1 bonus to a challenge. It means they go in more prepared. Now, they've also got some gear they can spend their resources on. And in a campaign, you start with additional resources. So there's one that's just for Lady Lance, the Tome of Secrets. It's a gear, it's an item, it's magical, and it's special. The power is Cunning, and the effect is you can remove 1 power token at the start of a turn to draw 1 additional card. So basically you can get additional fortune cards when she's in the table, and she has this. Normally it costs 2 gear. For her it's only 1 because it's her unique item. And then a lucky revolver, trusty revolver. Before you roll to brawl, you can shoot an enemy within 6. Or shoot an enemy within 6. You can discard to ignore the multiple fights penalty. So basically you're good at shooting people before they get to you, or if you're overwhelmed. And it would cost 2 gear normally, but it's 1 gear for lucky. Then we got Toklo, Ujarak, and Kadim. These are all allies. Now allies only cost 2. They're all level 2 basically. And they can have a single ability. They have Thug, which is included in their stat line there for a higher brawl. And they're just kind of they're just fighters. They're basic meat stabbers. And Ramjeet is the actual sidekick. So he has 2 skills, Muscles of Steel. Your brawl and might dice are not shifted down for injuries. So even when he's down to D6 for an injury, he's always D8s for brawl. And then Indomitable, you can reroll 1 recovery check per turn. Every round you're going to roll a d6, no matter what your health is if you're injured. And if you pass, which is always a 4+ in this game, you'll recover 1 step. Now if you're down when that happens, if you pass, you recover to a d6 and you're no longer down. If you fail though, you go to out and you're actually out of the game. Indomitable being able to reroll a recovery check is pretty handy. If he fails, he might just come back and he heals up super fast. Minerva the leader, she's not great brawl, but she's good shooting, great at dodging. She's might 2d8, finesse and cunning both 3d10. And then she has Nerves of Steel, ignore the -1 penalty. Ignore a -1 penalty once per turn. So basically if she comes under any kind of impasse or penalty, she doesn't have to take it once per turn. And then Quick Dodge, shift your dodge dice type down to gain +2 dodge bonus. So instead of rolling 40 10s, she can roll 68s, which is amazing. And then Agile, which is included in her dodge skill. Gear asset is the Gypsy Eye. After you roll to dodge a peril or attack, you may discard to move and disengage 1 inch to 3 inches away, even if you were hit. So basically she can foresee things coming. And it costs 2 gear, but she can select it for a single one because it's her actual item. It's the mystical stone eye that's zombified everyone. The league's made for us, 10-slot leagues. I'm going to play both sides. Now, there are solo rules and a solo deck you can order for this game. It's for 1 to 4 players, but it uses a modified fortune deck that doesn't come in the 2nd edition starter set. The 2-player starter assumes you're going to play with 2 players. But you can either download for free or order the actual printed cards for the solo deck, which means that even if you just bought this, you can just download them, use the fortune deck as it is, and then just print and then stick these in sleeves to have your solo deck ready to rock and roll. So it is a free upgrade just for people that are interested in solo play. And let's just jump in and build our first scenario. We'll do a basic scenario here just to show the core mechanics, and what we're going to do is determine how many players we have, then roll for a scenario. You can also use the campaigns from Perilous Island, Vice Alley, and Tomb of the Serpent, or Lost World. Players are encouraged to read the entire scenario before you proceed. And then resources, after the scenario is determined, you can use your league associates, resources, and so on. Special rules, resolve any special rules you apply to your league. So for instance, I get to have all the sidekicks and stuff. Let's see if my associate does anything. So can I get my librarian to do research on a 4+? I can't. So she's not going to give us the bonus for this game. And then the art dealer, is he going to give us anything? He is. Got your back, so we can do supplies and give a level 1 ability to Minerva. What's cool about that is she can kind of tailor herself to the scenario. So a level 1 ability, there's lots of them. She could take Armored. You cannot move over 6 to rush. You roll a bonus dice for all health checks. She can't have one she already has, so she couldn't, for instance, take Agile twice. Brute, for once per turn, reroll a brawn or might die. Covert, when you're hidden, you must win an opposed spotting check to see you. How about just fierce? She doesn't have fierce right now. We'll give her an extra brawl, so she's brawl 3d8. She's all so angry and ready to fight. Pre-game stuff. Now we're just gonna play the first mission from the book, which is Smash and Grab. And we'll start setting up now by determining our plot points. Sorry, events is what we do first. So a random event takes place for each of the 2 factions, and they're a d10. So for the Dundee Scholar, it's gonna be number 9, and we'll re-roll. Number 3 for Minerva's Mercenaries. See which ones are which. So for number 9, Subterfuge, one of your characters selected at random can start the scenario hidden. So maybe Milligan snuck up to find this location, this camp. And then Perilous, place 1 additional Perilous area, d8 from the center of the table in a random direction. d8, 8 inches from the center of the table this way, so this is Perilous for some reason. It's an additional spooky stone marker to note that that area is Perilous, which means that within 6 inches of it, you gotta make a check to see if you can survive or, you know, basically overcome whatever the challenge is. We place terrain, take turns placing 7 to 12 terrain pieces on a 3x3 table, which we've already done. Identify all areas that block line of sight or are obscuring. Obviously the buildings do. Going through the woods themselves would be perilous if you wanted to actually like go through them, because they're kind of like dangerous and stabby. And they will block line of sight side to side. And then plot points. Normally the major plot point placed in the center of the table, which we've already kind of done. That's the yellow markers. So here's our standing stones. Every other plot point is placed 6 inches from an edge and 6 inches from each other. So we'll do this little campsite down here. The weird like relic washing stuff, the supply crate section, and we'll say this ruined hovel over here. These will be all our plot points. And what's interesting is there's actually a table as well. After the scenario is determined, the players may take turns rolling for the 4 minor plot points and 1 major plot point to see what they are. It's just cosmetic, like they let you tell, you know, is it sealed blueprints or a torn photograph, a cryptic report. So we're gonna say the standing stones are the central one. I'm not gonna roll for that. We'll say they're scenario driven. We'll roll for the minor ones. Roll 1 of each. So we'll do the campsite over there first. It's going to be 10 official orders. So some type of official orders over there in the campsite. Over here, the little guard area will be the next one. 7. A suspicious diplomat encounter might be there. So maybe there's like some kind of a transcript or recording or like official documents maybe of that. Then over here, 10. Contraband, it's a smashed receiver. There's some type of like smashed radio that's kind of weird looking. And then the crate over there is a 9. Treasure, a sacred tablet shipped up and ready to be removed from the area. So scenarios are normally divided into quarters, and for smash and grab, get in and grab the goods. It should be simple enough. There's a major plot point and 4 minor ones. The sides are a d6 for deployment, and then term limit is 6 turns. We have 5 random reward cards already shuffled, and then there's no special rules for this one. Reward cards are equal to your victory points. You want to get as many reward cards as you can, and we deploy starting with whoever is the director. Now the director also directs the action for the turn, saying who's going to activate next. So both sides will do a d6 to see who deploys first. Lucky's scholars are getting a 4, 6 for Minerva. Determining the director is the next step, now that all of our plot points are placed. We both roll a d6, both players. So for instance, if Lucky was going to be the director, he gets a 2, but Minerva gets a 5. So she'll start as the director for the game. She uses sides, so starting with the director, each player selects and then deploys their league within 6 inches of one side of the table, 1 league per side. So it's a 2-player game. That means that we'll have Minerva pick, and she's choosing to be coming back from, I guess, a trip to town. To deploy everyone 6 from an edge, and then at least 6 inches away from all the plot points. So we've got 2 of the thugs over here, and then Ramjeet and Minerva coming back from the outskirts back to their camp. So we get to deploy everybody else. Now, one of my characters is going to play hidden. We'll have Milligan do that. Now, sneak is interesting. You can move 3 inches while you're hidden, and if you do so and you remain out of line of sight, no one can spot you. However, if a bad guy activates within 12 and can see you, they'll try and spot you by making a cunning check. It's opposed to your finesse. Now, he's finesse 3d8, which means he's a great candidate to stay hidden, and the goons over here are only cunning d6. What's cool is if you decide to attack somebody while you're hidden, you basically jump out and they can't oppose you. You just do unopposed attacks to try and beat them up. So he might snap some necks. Lucky's going to hang out over here. He's got to stay 6 inches away from this crate, which was about to be shipped out, but he's excited to go see what's inside. And then last but not least, we'll have Lady Elaine, I guess, go with him. And when you make your move during the turn, I'll explain this in a second, you're assumed to be able to open doors or small gates and stuff like that, so you have to agree with your opponent typically what those things are. But as there are actual marked gates on here, we'll say they don't stop movement like the fences would or slow you down. Start of the game, each player draws 3 instead of 1. So for Lucky, he's going to get Breakaway warmed up and Breakaway again. So breakaways are plain instead of rolling for dodge on one of your characters. Effect Move your character 1 inch or 3 inches in any direction to cancel a fight or a peril. So you just walk away basically from a fight. And then warmed up before you brawl or shoot, the character ignores the multiple fights penalty. Minerva, she's going to get Stumble. When an enemy takes a hit, move them X inches, where you flip a card to see what the number is in a random direction. Danger, play when the enemy activates, they encounter a random peril. And then finally, Steady Aim. Before you roll to shoot, gain +1 bonus. Here you go, 6 turns, and we're going to start on turn 1. And the director says who goes. Now, obviously, it's in Minerva's best interest to force the Dundee Scholars to go. They have less activations, and that means telling them they have to go. Means they'll pick a model to see who's going to go. Now, when you go, you can move and act, or you could rush and not act. And whenever you move 6 inches. So everyone in the game moves 6 inches unless a perk like changes it. You can choose to, not actually rushes to get in base contact. You can move up to 12 inches, but if you move over 6, it counts as your action as well. Now we're just going to go with Milligan. He's going to sneak as his movement, move 3, stay line of fire, and stay hidden. And now the director gets to pick someone who hasn't gone yet. Now the same player can be selected more than once, but every time there is a chance that they will become the director, because they can become the director through succeeding at a task. It's clearly winning a fight, which means hitting someone while taking no damage, or drawing a reward card, which would mean grabbing one of these. So Milligan managed to get on top of, actually, he wasn't within 6. He shouldn't be within 6. He should be outside of 6 when he deployed. So he shouldn't be within 3 of it right now, because he only moved 3. He should be back here. Just realizing that he must have deployed inside of 6 at that plot point. So Minerva will choose, obviously, the Scholars to go again. And we'll have Lady Elaine go. And she's going to move over 6 inches to be on top of this plot point. So next turn, she'll be able to actually identify it. And then we'll have Dundee go, because obviously Minerva's going to ask them to activate again. And they will go 6, and then 3. And stay outside of 6 at this plot point. Or outside of contact at this plot point. You potentially grab it next turn. With the Scholars having all activated and nobody being ready to grab anything, it looks like Minerva will actually choose as the director herself to activate. She'll send, I don't know, let's say Ramjeet 6, and then to move again onto this plot point to go and secure their base. She'll send this Thug 6, and then 6 again to try and smoke out Dundee. These 2 thugs, they can't target the monkey, but they can certainly go near, but they have to worry about this perilous area. It's a 5-inch diameter, so as long as they don't get within 2.5 inches of it, they should be okay. So they can just move 6 and then 6 again. Climb up here. And then this one's going to go try and secure their bedding. So going 6 and then 6 again. And it's just Minerva, and she's going to go hellbent for leather, trying to move towards this zone, knowing full well that she will be activating first, as she's still the director at the end of the turn. The round, no need for any recovery checks, as everyone's just kind of advanced this round. And so we begin round 2 by drawing a card. So for Dundee, it's going to be bad news. When the enemy takes 1 or more hits, add a hit. Sweet. And then for Minerva, Unseen Peril. When an enemy activates, make them take a peril. She's director, she'll choose the Scholars to go immediately, and that means that they have to activate someone. They're going to choose to activate Lady Elaine, and of course Minerva will play Unseen Peril, because why not? And Peril means you got to flip a challenge, finesse or cunning. Well, Lady Elaine loves cunning, so she's going to roll 48 to try and succeed. She needs to succeed twice here to pass. If she fails, she takes a number of hits equal to the amount she failed by, but she doesn't. She passes with 2, and that means she is a sleuth. You can draw a fortune card when she passes a challenge. So she gets disarmed for the pile. Still a fortune card that gets played, so she's gonna not bother moving. Maybe she'll just snuggle up here with her first half of her action, remove part. And then second part, she's gonna try to discover what's there. So when you discover a plot point, first you have to do a peril, because there's always a peril. She's trying to break into the block. So what is it? It's a cunning or might. She'll use cunning again for 48. And succeed with 2, because it was a 2. And that means draw another fortune card, because she passed a challenge. And now she has to actually do a just reward. When you pass a peril, you become the director. Sweet. What is the peril? And now it's the actual plot half of it, where she makes a plot chest, or a plot test, and we see what it is. So actually, sorry, when you fail, you take hits equal to the challenge number. So plot point, if the challenge for this plot has not already been revealed, draw a challenge for the top of the deck, and then take a challenge card to take a random card from the reward stack if we pass. Now, this is the specific unlock one. It's a finesse challenge. Ooh, we have to try and break in, so I guess just try and get into the box. Now her finesse is 3d8, and it's only 1 to succeed, but there's no penalty for failing now. We do succeed with a 7, so she gets to draw a reward card. And we gain +1 finesse, sweet, for the scenario. And then at the end of it, +1 to contact. So she has this, and she's carrying this now for a victory point at the end of the game. She could drop it when she goes down, and then there'll be a new test to unlock it. That challenge would stay with it if she doesn't pass until she did. You drew a reward card. The Dundies become the director now, and they will force Minerva Mercenaries to go. Minerva's going to send meat to the grinder, and that means a charge. You don't have to have to initiate a brawl, you don't have to have line of sight, but she'll send Ujarak, who is brawl 3d6 to go fight. Lucky's gonna brawl back, I think, with 4d10. He won't be able to cancel with these. He could also play a card like Breakaway. Instead of rolling a dodge for one of your players, move your character 1 inch to 3 inches in any direction. Well, maybe that's what he'll do instead. He just won't fight, he'll dodge. So then, what happens with Breakaway, Ujarak loses his fight automatically, because Lucky just goes 3 inches and goes, nope, bye. And goes over here. Drax all done. He remains director, which means he is going to, I think, pass on to them again. Oh, can he do it twice? He'll send, or Minerva will send another lackey. This time it's going to be, oh, that's Ujarak. Sorry, it was Toklo before. Ujarak to go fight, not knowing that Lucky has another breakaway card, so he'll just play it instead of rolling a dodge and break away 3 inches again. Over to here. And say bye. Still be the director. So now I think he's just going to choose himself to go. He'll initiate a shootout. Or a brawl. He'll do a brawl, actually. He'll charge in to fight Minerva. He's more of a shooter than a brawler, so she's going to dodge. She loves to dodge. She can go 40-10. And she's going to quick dodge. She's going to drop her d10s to d8s, but roll 6d8 instead. That's Lucky's 4d10 brawl against her 6d8. She can cancel with these. He hits with all of them. She can use ones. Actually, she can cancel all but one of these. Actually, she can cancel them all. She's got an 8 to cancel the 8, 7s to cancel the 5 and the 4. So she gets out of it. Because she avoided taking any hits, she can move an inch away. He is still the director. He doesn't really want to let her go again, though. So instead he's going to activate Milligan. And he's going to lose his stealth to walk over onto this objective and get through the peril. The peril is going to be a cunning challenge. Well, he's a smart monkey. He's cunning only 2d6, though. Well, cunning it is. Can he succeed? He gets it with double 6s. So he passes the cunning check. What is the actual thing to get through? Cunning again! The unlock for this plot point is also cunning. Oh, Milligan, show us that you are smart. Yes, succeeds with the one required. And so unlocks this plot point. Gets to draw a reward. And the reward card is +1 cunning, sweet, and a league reward of +1 gear later on. Well, unfortunately, this does leave the remaining mercenaries able to kind of do what they want now. So starting with this poor fella, he's going to attempt to unperil that plot point. Because now the Dundies can only choose Minerva's mercenaries to activate as everyone else is gone. So it is a might challenge of 2. Well, that's not good because he's only might 1d6. So hey, look, he failed, and that means he's going to take 2 hits. Oh no, was there a snake in there? There was definitely a snake in there, so he goes down. There was something in that campsite. Not great. Then Ramjeet's going to go. He'll encounter a peril. He will also attempt to open up this plot point. It's a cunning peril. 3d8 for cunning for Ramjeet, so he should be okay. He sure is. He passes. He only needed 1. And then the challenge to actually unlock the plot point is finesse or cunning. He'll use cunning again because his finesse is lower, 3d8, and succeed twice, which is what he needed, and gain that plot point. So he also gets to draw a reward card. His reward card is discard a fortune card to draw 2 cards. And then he gets +1 tips at the end of the game if they hold on to this. Well, now it's down to Minerva, and I think she's just going to shoot Lucky. Her option is to brawl, but I think she just wants to try and shoot him. He can shoot back, though, and he'll have 3d10 to her, 4d10 actually, because they're in close range, to her 4d10 as well. So 4d10, because she's also shoot 3d10. So he's in close range. He gets a whole bunch, and the high is 9. She gets a 4 and a 5, so she can cancel both of these, and then her other dice are a 7, 8. she could cancel the 6 and with the 7, and they both take 1. So he gets to make his health check on a 4+. No, he fails, and she passes. She wounded him in a gunfight. That's it, end of round. So now some recovery checks. Does this poor guy get up? He does not. He stays down and is now out. There was a snake in the grass. For Lucky, his D6 also fails, so he stays injured. Now he is max D8. Because Ramjeet drew that card, they are currently the director going into round 3, so Minerva gets to act first if she wants. She will. She's going to send Ramjeet, I think, activating, and then having him move and charge. Now Lucky can shoot on the way in defensively if he wants. He's capped at D8, so his 3D8 will go to 4D8 for shooting. Ramjeet is 3D8 to fight in melee. So for Lucky, oh, he misses twice and gets a 4 and a 7. And then Ramjeet gets a 7 and a 7. So he can choose to cancel both, and he will. He stayed director, and that means Minerva can now charge in and brawl as well. Lucky's been in a previous fight this turn, so he's -1 now to any further fights, because he's already had a fight against Minerva. And actually, he would have been the previous turn as well. Actually, I'd forgotten about that. So he's going to be -1 dice. So he's brawl of 4d10 goes down to 3d10, but d8 again because he's injured. And Minerva's not been in a fight yet this turn, so she's got brawl 2d8. So 2d8, and Elaine is going to get a 3 and a 4 to Lucky's 4. And they just both cancel out. She'll spend her 4 to cancel his 4, and now he's engaged multiple opponents. That's his 3rd fight for the turn. She is still the director, so I think she's going to cause this cultist, which is Toklo, to go fight. And that means Lady Elaine can shoot if she'd like, or dodge. She dodges better, so she'll dodge at 4d8. Versus, that is Toklo. He is brawl 3d6. And he fails completely, and she succeeds and takes no damage, so she'll move an inch out of the way. They are still directors, so once again, heading in with the other cultist and charging Lady Elaine. Their second fight, so she's only going to be rolling 3d8 if she wants to dodge, which she does because it's her best stat. And that's a 5-6 against just a 5, so she cancels it and once again gets away. And says, no thank you. They have to activate the Scholars now, and that means that the Scholars can choose to activate either Milligan or Lady Elaine. They'll activate Lady Elaine. She's been in 2 fights, which means she's got multiple fights of 2, making her shoot 0, so there's not a lot of point in her doing that. So she's just going to move and then move again, going 6 and 6 and getting on this objective to try and clear it. Bye to those cultists. She can't take an action, though, so no breaking it open. And Milligan's going to go, and he'll move 6 and 6 again to jump on Minerva and have a fight. Melee 3d6, she's down to brawl of 1d8 because she's been in multiple fights, or she could dodge 3d10. You dodge 5d8 if she just once per turn quick dodges, which she will. He gets a 6, she gets a 5 and a 7, so she's just gonna break off and be like, nope, no thank you. Turn over. Well, does Lucky recover? He does not, stays injured. And it's round 4. Minerva's still the director as no one was able to steal it, so she's going to choose her own group to go and send in the clowns again. So moving 6 and 3 to jump on will be the cultist known as Toklo. Lady Elaine hasn't been in a fight yet. She's going to choose to dodge again just to get away. 48 against his 3d6. And she succeeds with 2, a 4 and a 5 against his just 5, so she'll cancel them. And then move an inch away. Minerva will choose to have herself activate again and then send the second one, which is Toklo. Ujarak, rather. And he'll jump in to fight. She's down to only 3d8 to dodge now, because this is her second multiple combat. And she fails completely, and he hits her. She's got d8 for health, and she passes, so she's okay. Still director, so I guess Minerva's going to choose, Ramjeet to go and fight Lucky. He has to fight on, he's already in melee, so 3d8 brawl versus Lucky's 4d10, but only 4d8 because it's his injury level. So for the 3d8 for Ramjeet, he gets a 4 and a 5 versus a 4 and a 1. So cancels the 4 to not get hit, and then Lucky's got to make a health check and be okay. You want it, so he stays, or Minerva stays director, and she's just gonna activate and shoot that monkey. Plus range, so 4d10. Milligan will try and dodge 48, because why not? Discard even. He'll discard... Just reward. Give him +1 dodge, so he's 5d8 to dodge. And... Oh, 9996. He'll get an 8. Well, I guess the 7 could discard that, but he'll take 3 hits. 3d8 damage. Fails with the 2. And that means she can stumble him as well to go X. X will be the number here. So 2 inches to the backwards. She blasts him back this way. All the mercenaries done. So it's on to the Dundee Scholars, starting with Dundee himself. I guess he'll just keep trying to fight Ramjeet. He's 4d8, but this is multiple fights now, so 3d8 against 2d8, because Ramjeet's also fought before. 4-4-7 to double sixes, so 2 hits on Lucky and 3 hits on Ramjeet. Lucky passes and fails and goes down to d6, and on Ramjeet, passes them all. Now Lucky's turn. Ooh, Lucky could bad news him to take an additional hit. Why not? Bad news. Now he fails and takes an injury. So he's down to d6's third combat, which means we're going to send in the monkey. He gets 3d6. Ramjeet's only got 1d8 back because he's super tired. And he gets hit again. Got a d6 where he goes down. He's okay. And then finally, it will be Lady Elaine. He has to brawl, which means she's going to dodge. It's her third fight, so she's down to 2d8. It'll be 2d6 for Tokla, who stayed engaged with her. They both pass, so she'll cancel that with the dodge. No damage, and she'll move out an inch to here. Well, Dundee is the director now because he managed to hurt Ramjeet without taking any damage himself, going to turn 5, and both sides will make recoveries and then draw cards. So recovery for Ramjeet, and he can re-roll it. Nope, still stays injured. For Lucky, he also stays injured, down to d6. And then Kadim's dead. Choosing for themselves to go first, Lady Elaine is going to encounter a peril, seeing if she can transcribe what's going on here, surrounded by cultists. So the shoot, finesse, or cunning. She'll do cunning, but she needs a 3 here. So 48 with 3 successes. Can she do it? Gets 2 only. Peril, she'll take 3 damage. Oh no! So 3 d8s. She becomes injured. And the rest of her action fails. They could choose for themselves to go again, and I think Lucky will, because he wants to beat up poor Ramjeet. He's going to have Milligan do it, though. 3d6 against Ramjeet's 3d8. Ramjeet will brawl. And hit twice against once for Milligan. Milligan can't even cancel any of this, so they both take damage. Ramjeet's going to take 1 and fail and go down. But then Milligan's got to take 3 on d8 and passes like crazy. And Ramjeet goes down. Whoa. Well, it's the 11th hour, so Lucky's just going to go stand on top of this and attempt to break it open, even though he's so badly injured. What's the challenge for that one is the same 3 finesse, shoot, or cunning. So finesse is 3d10, but it'll be 3d6 right now. Shoot 3d10 or cunning 2d8. So he'll go shoot, I guess? It's only 3d6. He's got to make them all or go down. Ugh! You know, discard added 1 success for, well, we only need to get 2 out of 3 here because of wild card, but we didn't get it. So he's gonna take 3 damage, 3d6, down he goes. That's everyone in the Dundee Scholars having activated. So what happens? Minerva, she's gonna go, she's gonna try and shoot, I guess, Lady Elaine. She'll be shoot 4d10 right now because she's not even injured. And she's going to use steady aim for 5d10 because why not? She's already been in a shootout, so she's down to dodge 3d8 to try and respond. But she rolls really well. Can't cancel the 10s, but she can certainly cancel the 4 and the 5. She'll take 2 hits though. She was on d6s actually. She canceled the 4 and the 5s anyway. But she still takes 2 hits and then passes both. This will go. First one will jump in. This is her 3rd fight now, and his 2nd. So he's down to 2d6, and she's down to 1d6 to dodge. So his 2d6 both hit, and she only cancels 1 of them, so she'll take another damage and go down. The last one will attack Milligan, who is melee 2d6 right now, or dodge Could dodge, I guess 48 would go to 3d8. Dodge, why not? So 3d6 against 3d8. And he'll discard Disarmed to try and get an extra one. He only succeeds once, but the attacker succeeds not at all. Everybody having gone, so recoveries. All right, big deal now. Recovery for Lucky. He's back up, but he's a D6. It didn't go well. Lady Elaine, she's also back up at D6. And then for Ramjeet, he can re-roll this. He's up. Everybody recovers the end of the round. It's good because the Scholars are still holding 2, but they lost the fights, which means they are not director, and that means Minerva's gonna go. She's just gonna move on top of this. Might or Finesse. She'll use her Finesse of 3d10 with a success rate of 2 to survive the peril that killed poor Kadeem. She survives the peril, and then what's the challenge? The challenge is Finesse or Cunning. She'll do Finesse again and succeed 3 times and pick this up. So she'll draw a reward card, and it is extend the game if she wants and gain an extra experience. And she'll choose to have her team go again and send in Kadeem. He's going to charge into Lady Elaine. He's Brawl, 3d8 goes to 3d6. She can dodge on 4d6. He gets 1 success to her 1, 2, 2. So she'll get out of the way an inch and go touch this objective. And then he'll go in and attack. She'll have multiple combats now. So she'll be on 3d6 to his 3d6 as well. He gets no successes. She gets no successes, and they just stay in melee. And the last of the cultists can go to attack Milligan. 3d6 against his dodge if he'd like. Oh, sorry, both sides drew a card. For the Dundees, Distraction. And for Minerva's, Sidestep. Milligan's just going to dodge again on 4d8 to the 3d6 that, who's that? Toklo can fight him with. Hits once with a 6, but the 7 and 8 will both cancel it. Means he can break away an inch. All the mercenaries have gone, so it's down to Dundee and Elaine. So I think Dundee's going to try and take the central thing. It's, again, 3. Shoot, Finesse, or Cunning. I guess he'll go with his... Cunning is 2d8, Finesse is 3d10. We'll just do Shoot, I guess. Is there anything we can do here? Play before you brawl or shoot. Effect, ignore the multiple fights penalty. No. Distraction's not going to do it either. So you just got to try and get... If he gets 2 out of 3 of these, he can do it. Because he can use his wild card to get it. So do we survive the break-in? We do! And then what's the challenge? 1 Finesse. You can do it, buddy. Bam! He gets it! So he manages to clear the idol and draw the last reward card. It's scenario reward 1 might, so he gains a might and then gets a backup at the end of the game. It's just Lady Elaine. She's going to try and disengage by dodging. Going to play Warmed Up to ignore multiple fights when she rolls to brawl or shoot. She'll use her dodge, though, so that she can use 4d6 instead of 2d6 because she'll be on multiple fights. And then Toklo will attack her, but only with 2d6. At her dodge, she gets 2 4s, and then his attack... a 6. So it's going to get through. Does she make her health check? She does. So she doesn't leave combat, but she does manage to fight. And that's going to be game. It's going to be 3-2 for the Dundee Scholars, but everybody is super beat up, and Kadeem is just straight up out of action. Here you go, a first look at Pulp Alley 2nd edition using the contents of the 2-player starter set and the 2 pre-built scenarios, or leagues. So what we've got here is a build-your-own sort of game, and I've seen this game used for everything from Fallout to Star Wars to... any kind of genre you can imagine, because the perk system incorporates all your gear. There are gadgets and gear choices too for more like interesting and enhanced things. But basically, if you have a miniature you like, you can stat it up with all the perks and all of the abilities that are in this book pretty much at will. And that means that everything from like power armor to being good at shooting to being good at fighting to being huge, shadowy, sly, slamming, 2-fisted, add +1 dice to 2 skills, reduce shoot to no dice. right? Like unearthly to be a ghost. Like you can make pretty much anything you want. Mind blast for shooting mind bullets. Extraordinary, raise a D8 skill to D10. Like there's so many things you can do to make your own models into whatever you want to stat them up, that this game is super flexible. And the whole idea that the cosmetic plot points, main plot points and secondary plot points are you know, the sort of the key ingredients, means that you can put it in any setting you want, any location you want. The idea of apparel being like a stat check means you can have everything from lava to like gas clouds to collapsing mines. And you can set it anywhere in time you want to, from the Roaring 20s up until, you know, the far, far distant future, or the post-apocalypse you want. So there you go, our first look at Pulp Alley, 2nd edition, the 2-player starter set. So there you go, let's play Pulp Alley. I hope you enjoyed that look at this classic, sort of modern classic indie adventure game that uses whatever models you want to tell the story you want in any kind of like time period, place, or location that you want. Now, I had all this stuff digitally, but big thanks to Dave for sending this stuff to me so I could see the contents in the starter, and he is crowdfunding these physical assets if you want to check them out, including the starter set that I just played with, I think via Kickstarter, which I'll link below so you can check it out, and it's going right now. But as you can see, it's all done. Like everything's done and printed. This is just to put things in production and ship them out to folks. He's using it as like a pre-order platform. So big thanks for watching. We'll see you for more Pulp Alley and indie titles in the future. Till then, I'm Ash. Upward Gaming. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to support the channel, of course, like and subscribe and hit the little bell below so you get notifications when I post future content. I do post stuff 7 days a week. If you want to support the channel further, you can, of course, buy a t-shirt through Spreadshirts, buy a measuring gauge or objective markers from Death Ray Designs, or, of course, most importantly, there is Patreon. Patreon is what makes all this possible, keeps the lights on, pays for the studio costs, pays for the equipment, model costs, and everything else, and most importantly, puts food in my kids' bellies and a roof over their heads. Big thanks to everyone, past, future, who supported me. I do this stuff because of you guys, and of course, I will continue doing it as long as I can.